Hi, everybody. I'm losing my voice a little bit. I've been talking for 2 days straight, so I'm going to use the mic, even though it's not very necessary, but I appreciate you all being here today. My name is Cassie, and I am with Boomy, which is a generative music platform that uses generative algorithms to create styles of songs. So we do not use any copyrighted material. Our data is ethically trained and sourced. Every piece of data that comes into our system is either paid for, given to us, or we have exclusive rights to use it from the actual rights holders. So I'm really excited to kind of share. Yesterday we talked more about just creating with Boomy. I'll go through a little bit of it today for those who weren't there yesterday. But today we're going to talk a lot about how Boomy distributes and how we're one of the few generative music platforms that can do that because of us not using anyone's copyrighted material. A little bit about me. I'm the director of creator success. So this would be similar to a customer support role, but I'm dealing with artists and creatives and people who are making stuff. So we don't think of it as just like, oh, I manage incoming support for the account. It's I manage people's ideas around production. I help them get to a new spot with Boomy. I teach them new tools to add with Boomy so that they can make their songs better. I'm a team of one right now. We're a very small team of, I think, 12 people right now. So I manage the entire community of 1 million users. I manage our Discord. I manage all the emails. So I love that, though, because I know so much about what's going on. And when you have a large team of people, sometimes you lose sight of what's happening on the ground. And I like to say I'm the only director in tech that is literally on the ground talking to the people using their product. So I'm very proud of that. And I love helping people make music. That is my passion. I love to educate. I'm a songwriter and producer myself. I'm a bassist in Denver band Bones Maroney, a little self-promo. But I create for fun. I create because I love it. I love to perform. And I was born and raised in Denver. And so it's a big honor to be at the fest today with Boomy and this whole moment. So really happy to be here. Okay, so today we're going to learn a little bit about our Boomy artist partners. We're going to go over creating with Boomy real fast, and then we'll talk about the UMS Community Album I'd like to see if we can do, and then talk about distribution and give you guys some time to ask questions about Boomy. So, and these are just kind of like goals, you know. I want y'all to be able to learn about a new tool, to learn about distro through Boomy, and then maybe get inspired to make something with Boomy. So at Boomy, we really believe that we are not a shortcut. We are not a instant song generator. I think when we first came out, there was some language that we were like, anyone can make a song in an instant. And we very quickly realized, we were like, wait, instant, like that's not the goal. It's like, get creative in an instant, get inspired in an instant. And it wasn't the final step. And so we really were rethinking what that meant. And because we're all musicians and artists at Boomy, half of us have worked in the music industry for over 20 years, half of us are musicians who work in tech. So we care very, very much about cooperating with artists, cooperating with the music industry, because we're artists ourselves. And we just really see people every day experience this, like people who never thought they could create, or maybe they had people who didn't want them to divert from some family tradition path of jobs or any of those things. We've all experienced that as musicians, you know, that it's not a real career, or it's not this or that. And we're not even talking about career. We're talking about just make stuff and have fun with it and be an artist, because everyone deserves to be one, no matter how good or bad anyone thinks you are. This is just some example of the magic that I get to experience day to day. Early on, 2 years ago, we did a big, like, tell us how you feel about Boomy, and we collected a bunch of info, and then it inspired us to keep kind of pulling these quotes and these things, and it just grew and grew. And when people talk about AI taking stuff away, and I'm only speaking about music generative AI, you know, I'm not speaking about any other AI tech, but when they talk about it taking away, I look at these moments where I'm like, we're creating art. All of these people are telling me, I've never done this before. I've never made this before. This is amazing. I'm obsessed. I can't stop. And these moments to me tell me that a lot of people out there are yearning to make something. They just are afraid to. And I believe that Boomy kind of takes away that barrier of fear, and it lets you dive in with the help of some tech that wants to show you how to make music. So to create on Boomy, it's really simple. I'll show you the platform, but this is kind of like order of operations. Boomy is totally free, and your first 3 releases, up to 10 songs on each release, is free. And we collect all available royalties on your behalf, which means like label level royalty collection. So we don't miss a thing, and we split it with the artist 80-20. So you get 80% of the royalties. The only 20% is taken to maintain the release on the platforms because it costs money. So we don't use that as our revenue. It's more about getting the revenue back to the artists. So let's take a peek. Okay. So Boomy, like I said, you don't put in a prompt. You don't say, I want to sound like the Beatles. You pick a style and then you edit and work on it to kind of create a base that you can then add vocals or your own guitar or piano or, other emulators, other Ableton pads, whatever you use. I like to think, and in this setting with professional artists, I'm going to show you guys how I use Boomy. And then there's also just like on-platform Boomy, which is just pretty generic, but you can use this in a really cool way. So let's do a little lo-fi beat for now because I just love afternoon nap because I need one every day at this time during UMS. Okay, I realized we didn't do speakers, but that's okay. You guys can hear it, it's fine. So Boomy in like 1 second is able to take styles and like put them together and create this. And so you can't hear it through these speakers right now, and maybe we'll get plugged in. Okay, cool. I'll show you that in just a second. We'll talk through what you can do after you generate first. But so with Boomy, it creates a base, right? And it's wholly original. So I always tell people to listen to their first generation with open ears and open mind and think of the possibilities from a producer aspect. So once you first kind of make that generation, if you don't like how it's sounding or you're like, this is weird, it's atonal, like this isn't a song, this is beats and boops, and you can really mess with that original generation by just changing instrumentation. So we allow you to individually edit the harmonics, the drums, mixing. Oh, thank you. So it gives you control in a way that it's, you don't have to know a DAW, you don't have to know how to produce it. Boomy will do all the heavy lifting for you, but you can still get really creative. So let's play that generation again, and because I'd like y'all to hear that. Yeah, so this is just a bass, and this is just step one of many. So let's say we want to lighten it up a little bit. They've got the Vancouver mix on there, so it's a little bit like muddy. You can go in and say, I like that, but it's just too muddy or it's too low for me, so let's super clean it up. And then you save the changes. And you just keep doing that over and over, changing your drums, changing your bass, and you can play with the generation for a while. And then eventually you're like, you know what, this one isn't working. I'm going to try again. And in 1 second, you have another bass to work with. And you can just do this over and over and over again. Every time you make an edit to a generation, the first version will stay in your library, so you don't lose that previous gen. If you're like, oh no, I liked it better the first time, it's in there. It just automatically does it, and so you just have to go back and look through your new songs. So just changing that effect really like pulled up the highs. You can like hear it differently now. And so that's what's cool is, excuse me, the first gen, sometimes people are like, whoa, especially after hearing some of the competitors out there who are producing fully final complete songs. So we were the first, and this was like, whoa, this is so cool. And then our competitors came out and doing things that, maybe are not, everybody wants that version of AI right now, but like we were kind of sitting back going, we're gonna keep doing this. We know that people are like, why doesn't it sound like these other companies? Why doesn't it sound like this other AI I've heard? And we get a chance to explain that because we don't train it on all that data. We teach the computer, or the engine essentially, these are all kind of their own individual codes that talk to each other and create music in a kind of a music theory way, opposed to here's a bunch of data, here's a bunch of words, make a version of that. And so that's why I really love Boomy. And as a community-minded artist and someone who's been working with Youth on Record and nonprofits in Colorado for like 20 years, AI was something that I was like, what is this going to do? And when I saw Boomy, I wanted to work for them so badly because I was like, this is what it should be. It shouldn't be just one and done. It's like it should give access. It should give opportunities to people who may not be able to afford a DAW or even a computer, or you can use this on a smartphone. It's not an app. You don't have to download anything. You can access it anywhere on any computer or any like tablet. And that's what I think about when I think of this. So I'm not defending how Boomy sounds. I'm proud of it because it's a bass and you can play with it. And yesterday we didn't really touch on that as much because I saw people go, whoa, that's interesting. But also like, that's not the AI I'm used to. And so I always just kind of like talk about that because I'm proud that we only ethically train, and every single sample that's in here, we know exactly who was paid for it and who wanted it there. And it's really exciting to be able to be there, but still have to know that we go a little bit slower because we're not going to run at the speed of light because we care about what happens. This is emerging tech. It's the Wild West. And if you're not thinking about it every step of the way, that's when we lose sight of what's important. And I'm happy to be someone who they joke is I'm like, I don't like that. And they're like, you're right. Let's find another sample. Let's find another thing. And Boomy really, truly cares about that. And they want to know what artists think and they want that feedback. So they send me out and they're like, what are people saying about this? Do they like this? Is this good or bad? And when we get feedback that makes artists feel like they're being exploited or anything like that from other examples of AI, we learn from, and we're like, we do not want that. We want artists to feel uplifted and like they found a access point to do something cool and play with it. So just a little diatribe on the how we are different from maybe some of the other AIs out there in a sonic way, not commenting on anything else. Okay, cool. So we've kind of played with that a little bit. I think y'all can see how that works. It's super fun. We've been able to put so many different cool samples and sounds, and we've got like a gamelan and like a kalimba and all the fun stuff. So there's a lot of customizability. And then my favorite thing to do, also drums, you can isolate the drum kit and you can change the mixing settings. We also have Dolby mastering that you can add on after. So if you know about mixing and mastering, you can pair your mixing with the mastering settings we have and make it sound really nice without having to do a lot of heavy lifting in mixing and mastering. And then sound effects, of course. Who loves sound effects? Everybody. Okay, so we have the song. It's awesome, but we're like, I only like a part of that, and I kind of want to expand on it. Boom, we got the rearrange mode, and you can duplicate it. You can make it smaller. So the small section is about a 1 measure 4-bar section. So, and then medium is 8, and then the large will be like between 16 and 32, depending on what the song is. And so what I like to do as an artist is I usually go through and find a few distinct parts that I'm like, ooh, I like that. That's okay, that's it. And sometimes, I got to go to the end and find it. But what I like to do is, and then I just duplicate it. And I just like to play this game where I just find things. Okay, yeah, let's see what happens with that. And then it's like a puzzle almost, like a really fun little weird music puzzle that you can play with. It's almost like gamified production when you just go like this. So when you start with it, I always recommend just have fun with it. Like put stuff in weird places, duplicate it, make it bigger, make it smaller. I'll go through and delete all of these after I'm done. And then let's just say we're going to do yeah. Okay, so we got like an A section, like real basic. And you can go in and try, you can do an A section, B section, a weird middle breakdown, just through finding little samples and expanding them. And so once this is done, we'll hear my new arrangement, which might be really weird or it might be cool. Yesterday we did the same thing, and it actually, I was like, oh, I'm saving that. I'm like, I'm going to use that later. So now we got like, that first gen was kind of like, well, okay, there's some stuff in there, but now we've gone in and kind of created this bass that you could now rap over, you could play guitar over. Like, this could be a sample for a lot of different styles of music in a way, and then it goes into a different section, and so that was just kind of to highlight how you can manipulate it to make it into something that you can use that's more universal, and then layer it on top. And so for those of you who produce in your own DAW, the cool thing about our vocal portal is our custom vocal. You can just kind of think of it as a line in. And what I do is with the Pro and Creator account, you can download your MP3s and your waves, so you can upload videos to YouTube and all that stuff. I download the wave and then I bring it into Ableton and I create on top of it and match up the wave. And then right before I export it, I remove the wave of the Boomy track and then use all of the layering as my one custom vocal input. And so I'll show you an example of a song that I did. And this is the song. I'm not trying to get streams. This is just my Boomy demo song. They put it on the playlist. I didn't. But let's show you a little bit of a Boomy. And I'm showing you my version because I'm still I'm a producer, but I'm recording engineering is what I know better. Digital production, Ableton, those kind of things I'm new to. So I'm showing you this in this was not even somebody who knows what they're doing very well yet. So this was me just taking samples that I had the rights to, and the bottom part is just the that was Boomy, and so I just repeated that part over and over, and then there was a B section that I repeated, and then I found these samples that I had and just kind of tried to make an instrumental vibey track, and I did this in like 2 hours. But it was super, it was like I was like, okay, this works, this doesn't, I gotta move this over, I gotta keep playing with it, I had to go back to other gens, and so it's just like a really fun creative tool to kind of like get you out of your box and get you thinking about sound and messing with it and playing with it. And to me, it's more about breaking through that barrier that I think all artists inherently have, which is, our own, we can be our own worst enemy, we can be the block just in our own heads. And AI to me really brings that part of us, like we can be safe and still stay there, but the base is being created and it's like, oh, okay, step 1 through 3 is done and now I can dive into it and I may never do anything with it, but instead of me sitting there being like, I'm not gonna make anything today, I don't know what I'm gonna do, I don't wanna pick up my guitar, I don't wanna play the piano, it's like, why don't we just make a little weird sound and see what comes from that, and then maybe it'll inspire you to finish that other song that isn't the AI song. But I think of it as like a coach and a tool and just like your buddy that you can play with. And also if you want to start producing and like putting it through onto Spotify and things like that really easily, and you already kind of have a following and you don't have representation and you can distribute however you want, you can earn pretty good streaming if you have like a big social following, if you have a lot of fans. You can make a side project and distribute it through Boomy, and it will be like one of the easiest distribution deals you'll ever do, because we do own the copyright to the songs, but that's only to manage it in the wild so that we can collect all available royalties. We'll talk about licensing and why we do that in a minute. I know that always makes people a little bit nervous when we say that, but in the world of AI, it's to protect the customers too, because in past emerging tech moments, customers have been liable, for things. So if Boomy's managing it and the government, in my opinion, this is why I think it's important, and this is why I, as an artist, this like not speaking as Boomy, I think that's really interesting because, it doesn't make you, if the government says, we're not going to let this happen, and even though Boomy's not doing anything wrong and we're doing everything that is fair and equitable for the rights holders, we don't want anything to ever go back on our customers, but you can still have the opportunity for the rights. And so it's just more of a, from my perspective as an artist, I think that's cool. And even though you don't have the rights, but it's totally managed and you never have to worry about it. And if someday you're like, hey, I want to license this for a film, can I have this? And our team is very open to like making that very easy and affordable and helping people get their stuff into cool stuff, Okay, so that's that. Let's get into, the community album real fast. So I showed you how to use Boomy. What I'd like to do is try to see throughout the weekend, if you're bored or you're hanging out, or later you're at your friend's house or your hotel and you're, sauced up and you want to try Boomy, make a little song, and then we have a little hashtag area. I'll show you where that is. And we're going to collect those if you save them, and we're going to put them on an album, and anyone who submitted a song will upgrade you to a creator account for a year for free. And all the proceeds from the community album is going to go back to Youth on Record. So, and we will probably distribute it through our Warner ADA pipeline with our partnership with them. So these are really fun ways for us to like help the community. 500 ways to have fun. All the proceeds went to the food bank that Paperboy Prince manages in New York City. He is a mutual aid activist and does a lot of work in the city out there. And We were trying to break a world record for the most songs on one album, and we almost did it back in 2022. But it was such a fun project. We went to New York and set up a bus, and people from New York just came in and made a song, and it was one of the most beautiful days of my life. I'll tell you, like, I saw so many people go, what is, and they did their vocals, and people who never sang before. So it's really fun. So this year we couldn't do a booth because we were doing the 2 masterclasses, and normally we call them the Boomy booths. But this year I'm just gonna let people self do it, and if you're at home having fun and you wanna contribute to that so that we can help Youth on Record, that would be awesome. And all you gotta do is use this hashtag and I'll find you in the wild and I can upgrade your email and all that stuff. So it's super easy. Couple reasons why. We're gonna give you an upgrade. It'll be distributed on all major streaming platforms, which will not only get UMS and Youth on Record more visibility, the bands who are on it will get more visibility. You know, it's cool that we can work with big orgs like this and share those things out. That's bringing back good for them, and artists being able to utilize that moment with the social eyes that get to see that from UMS's side of things. All the proceeds going to Youth on Record, you know, make a song for the weekend, have a good time. And it's truly, I just like to see what people make without any pressure, and just like make a song this weekend, have fun, and tag us and I'll give you a free account. Okay, so and this is how you do it. When you go to save your song, when you go to you'll see this. You just put UMS 2024 right there, and then just don't distribute it, just save it. And I will, on the 2nd, we're gonna pull all the hashtags, and then I'll email everyone who submitted, and I'll make sure you get notified about your account upgrade. And then once you get notified for that, you'll get email once it goes out, and all the how to talk about it if you want to share it and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's get into the fun stuff. The distro. So Boomy is very unique. We have a lot of really great collaborative and cooperative partnerships with many of the music industry's big distribution arms, and we have a lot of optionality. There's a lot of ways we can distribute music depending on the best place for it. So, you know, we want to maintain catalogs, and we want to make the market healthy, and we want to pay attention to that. So our optionality allows us to put things in places that make more sense than on certain platforms. And we work with artists who, you know, are like, nobody listens. I'm in India, everyone listens to Deezer. Like, we don't need to be on Spotify, to be honest. And so we can work with them and help people get on certain platforms that they want to be on. And it's helpful too because we own the copyright. You know, we get to work with these people. So people like Merlin, Warner ADA. Warner is actually one of our biggest supporters and backers. So we work in conjunction with the labels to make sure that we are doing exactly what we need to do so that we can cooperate in the market and not flood it or do any of the things that people think happen with AI music. It's just going to make everything full of AI music. And we're one of the companies that really, we worked on our distro to make sure that optionality wouldn't just flood everything with one type of music. So the coolest part about it is when we started, you know, the ADA stuff was not really in the strategy. That kind of came together after we saw all of the amazing stuff that was coming out. And so the cool thing is we make a lot of playlists. People are picked up for editorials sometimes through our playlists, and all of these playlists on our Spotify are just average people. There's some major recording artists who have pseudonyms that play with Boomy, and they release songs and we put them on the playlists. And then we also have professional artist partners, and we do partnerships with major recording artists like Stun It for Vegas. We did a big song with them in 2022, which was so cool to do, and to see that level of like hip hop playing with Boomy and making really cool stuff. It's a cool song. You should listen to it. But yeah, and then we also work with, you know, for those of you from Denver, July, she's a rapper and engineer and producer here, and she has literally made Boomy so much cooler just by helping us and making cool songs. And she was one of the first people in Denver that was like, I would love to do something with AI. Like, I'm really curious, especially if they're doing it right. And so when we work with our Boomy artist partners, we're able to kind of work with you to tweak it and get it where you need it, and then we can release it together through ADA. And so you have a little bit more access as a partner to certain stems and things, you know, but for the most part, it's in an agreement that we're just gonna put the song out. You still get to be you as an artist. You're not signing any long-term, you know, likeness deals or anything like that. It's just about getting a cool release out into the market. And so aside from the copyright, it's just one of those things where you can try and experimenting, putting something through a major label like ADA. They're incredibly supportive of independent music and what we're doing, and so it's like a real honor to be partnering with them. And giving people like July, who deserve to be on a major label, that opportunity. And now, you know, because of those things, she's had more press, she's been able to do more stuff, and she said it's really increased her fan base outside of Colorado in a way that she maybe couldn't have done without a lot of money or a marketing team or something like that. So we were able to let her do her thing, make something really cool, and then see those effects without having to do some giant marketing push or some, you know, campaign. It was very organic, and that's what I love about this partnership that we do with certain artists. And, you know, we have Lightfoot. They're a Berkeley professor and a producer, amazing person. His stuff is so cool, drum and bass and some weird experimental avant-garde production. And then Goshfather, You Want to Dance, that's your buddy. He is 4 on the Floor, San Francisco Magic. And he's done a ton of remixes for a lot of our Boomy artist partners. We did an entire remix album with Katira's Oh What a View album, and took her experimental ancient harp with AI concept and turned it into like a rap song, a disco song, a drum and bass song. And Katira is from Cologne, Germany, and she is a classical harpist, artist, and like a world builder. She's very creative, very cool artist, and she won a Diana AI contest in Europe that we had sponsored in 2021. And she wrote a song with Boomy and submitted it for this AI song contest. And so we started working with her as the top prize. Like, we're going to help you release something and give you some artist development tips and all that. And she wrote an entire language for one of her songs, like very Tolkien style, awesome stuff. And she's really playing with that ancient and modern vibe. And so she's had a lot of success with that. And she was invited to go to the UN after that and talk about AI for good, and did a little thing with Sophia the robot. And so it's really exciting to see the opportunities that we've been able to give artists that want to work with us in a way that's like, let's do something really cool. Like, what do you want to do? You know, what are you interested in? What about AI do you want to showcase or talk about, you know? And that's, all of these people have been like, I really want to do something cool with AI, and I don't know what it is. I know I'm interested in it, and it sounds like you guys know what to do. And it's a very mutual, fun partnership that we've gotten to do with these folks. Yeah, and this is just a little bit more press about when we started working with ADA. This is just some examples of, you know, how we can have moments for artists that get to be in Forbes and get to be in Billboard. And, you know, this was a huge moment for us press-wise. And so to me, the benefit of that was seeing artists who deserve to be highlighted be in these major publications and crush it, you know, as true artists, not just people making instant music. These people were doing crazy things to their Boomy songs and like really expanding on what it meant to be artistic in this emerging tech. Okay, and yeah, here's a little, if you want to chat about this, it's my email. Feel free. I don't have business cards and stuff, so take a picture, whatever. But I'm always curious to hear. I'm based in Denver too, so I'm down to meet with people in person, but I just want to hear what artists want to do and what they're curious about, and if there's some way that we can support a cool project or a release, and, you know, just take it from there. Like I said, we don't try to do any sort of real big, like, record label deal. Like, it's not like that. It's very, we want to support artists doing something unique, and if you have an idea and we can help you with it, I'd love to hear about it. Okay, so back to licensing. The cool thing about our creator and pro tiers is that you, the creator tier, you have non-commercial use in social media and live streaming, so you can use it for anything that at all, you know, you're not being paid for it. The pro account, though, you can use it for commercial use in social media and advertising. The pro account, pretty much, the licensing covers a ton of use cases aside from outside distribution or any sort of like, my song's going to be in a hit movie and then it's going to be, I'm getting royalties from that. Like, those are the only things where we would work with you if that opportunity came up to make sure that you actually got the best deal for it. If somebody approaches you about a Boomy song, us helping you with that as industry professionals and people who are music centric it's a blessing. So we hope people like have an opportunity to put their Boomy song in a movie or anything like that, because we would love to guide and help that and make sure that, you know, whether it's giving you full rights or helping make that deal make sense where you still keep 80% of everything. And, you know, there's a lot of options with Boomy because we're not trying to do one thing. We want to understand what's best for our rights holders and work towards their goals and build something around it that is helpful and not just restrictive or makes it feel like I don't have the rights to my song. Like, it's only to protect you and to make sure we can get all your royalties. And then from there, we can always discuss like other options. And okay, and then rights requests to own outright. We do those. There's a lot of people who've already bought the rights to their songs. They just wanted it. They just were like, I made it, I want it, it's mine, and I'd like to have it. Like, okay, yeah, just here you go. And so we work right now. It's an individual case by case basis, but we work with all budgets of all sizes. And there's it's more about making sure that we get you what you need, and that Boomy is able to separate and be excited about that and send you out into the wild with your song. Okay, and then with benefits of Boomy Distro, just for funsies, like, you know, aside from being a partner or anything like that, distribution is free for your first 3 releases. The cool thing is like I said, with the optionality, we can get you on a lot of platforms. We can get you on really unique platforms, especially if you're really excited about what you're doing and you know it should be over on this one thing. That optionality allows us to do it. And we make it really easy to see your royalties, to see your streams, and we will work to, like, if, say, you get a flag on Spotify for something and I write in, I'm like, hey, Spotify's saying you did something weird on this, you know, can you tell me what you were marketing or how you were doing that? And we work really hard to advocate for you, because that song is a part of our library too. So if it gets kicked off, we want to fight for it. And I think that's another intriguing part about us having the copyright, is we don't want it down, we want it up too. And so we fight on your behalf to make sure that Spotify isn't wrong. And for those of you distributing right now, I don't know if you've experienced some of the, not just Spotify, but in general, you know, there's things that I've been flagged for stuff, and I'm like, that song, nobody's even listened to that song in a year. And so there's some weird stuff going on sometimes, and it happens, you know, and we can fight for you and let them know, like, no, we have proof. This person showed us what they were doing. It was a totally normal campaign. It just went really well. And here's the receipts. And then they'll be like, cool, no problem. And we work closely with Spotify to make sure that we don't have any fraud going out in the market either. So it's a symbiotic relationship, but we will fight on your behalf if that were to happen, if their system were to flag you. Yep. And then you can easily share it all across from Boomy through all the music platforms and that. And then, like I said, they're free from restrictions or copyright issues. So you know that you're never going to get a copyright takedown request from Taylor Swift, you know, for using some sample or something that you didn't know was even being used. So I'm just going to show you how distro works real fast. So when you're ready to release, you just go to create, and then you go to release. And the fun thing about Boomy is we have a AI art generator, album art generator inside. So we can, let's just do something fun here. Festival. Oh, spelling. Crowd. Claymation. Okay, and then it'll get it to the standards and the pixels and everything it needs to be for distro. You can also upload any of your own album art that you've made. Super easy to do that as well. And then you just name it, pick your settings, what your genre is, and within a few minutes it's out the door, and within a few days it's on all major streaming platforms. Hey, that turned out kind of cool. Yeah, festival. I guess it's a religious festival, maybe. It's a Renaissance looking photo. I love these things. Sometimes it's funny. So you can do all sorts of stuff, and then you can continue to generate, and it'll save all the photos that you've done. So if you want to have a few options, we can upload. Let's do this one for fun because it's cute. I made that this morning. I am not a designer. This is not how the cover will look for the actual collab album. But so you can upload your thing, your cover art, and then you put in all your information. And from there, let me just do this here. UMS, Cassie. It's a new age. I know Cassie already exists, but we're not going to submit it, so it's fine. As you can see, we do have guardrails in place, so nobody can call it Eminem or Drake or BBL Drizzy or whatever the heck's going on with that stuff anymore. And yeah, there's a lot of places where it'll be like, no, you can't use that name, you can't use that image, and those kind of things. If you try to prompt Taylor Swift, blah blah blah, for your album art, it'll block you. So we work really hard to make sure that no artists are being used in that way. Okay, so let's just use this one. And the cool thing is even if you don't have a song name for it or, you know, whatever, it will tell you like, oh, we got to name this song right now. So I'm going to call it UMS. It's the hit single. And then this song is Catman. I'm just making up words here. And Big Day. Okay, so we've got our songs named, and we have this is a new feature that we've added where I can be like, no, I want UMS to be third. No, I want to be second. And then you can also listen to it from here. Or it'll bring you to it. If you have a really big library, if you click it, it'll bring you right back to it so you can listen to it. So you can really play with your track settings and then bada bing, bada boom, there it is. It's live. I'm not going to submit this just because it's not Cassie is my name, but Cassie is a trademarked artist name. So, but this is exactly how it looks before it goes out. You can review, you can move your tracks around again if you want, and you'll submit for review. And our content review team is all humans. So it's usually a lot of up and coming college producers, students who are really excited about data science, music analysis, things like that. So every single piece of music that goes into the market is reviewed by a human before it ever leaves Boomy. A lot of people think most of AI stuff is like very automated, and it's not. Like I said, I'm the only person in the CS department, and I answer every single email by hand. I talk to every single person as me. I don't have an assistant or a bot or anything like that. And same thing with our distro. We believe that every human needs to check it before it goes anywhere. So that's pretty cool. And then you can also schedule it. So you can do an advanced date. I think you have to have at least 3 weeks or at least 4 weeks and no more than 3 months. So we have this group of young folks in our Discord who are just learning about release timing and scheduling, and they've been posting like, oh, we've got all these albums coming out, because they just learned about the scheduled release feature. And so it's cute to see, especially some of the beginning artists who are testing this out. They're just so proud of it, and even as a professional musician, like, I have so much fun making my silly alter ego lip filler, which is just like my weird dancey whatever Boomy tracks, and it just like brings me so much joy. It's just like, hey, it's me, but it's not me, and nobody has to know about it, and it's just my art that I share with my family and friends. Or if I want to put it out there, I can put it out there in a big way. It's like up to you. It's a big marketplace out there. Cool. Okay, any questions about just the general distro portal and how that works before we jump into Q&A about anything else? Nope. Okay, cool. So I just wanted to really just kind of show the capabilities and also speak about Boomy Artist Partnerships, and just kind of introduce a generative AI platform that truly is artist forward. And we really, really want to honor that, and hopefully break down some negative stereotypes about companies that are truly ethically training their data. And like I said, I can only speak for generative music because that's the only thing I work in, but AI in general, I hope everybody, takes time to understand it and get to know it. And just like anything else, you have to decide where you're going to consume it and who is backing it and owning it. And as a community leader and as somebody who truly believes in equity for all artists and all creatives and anyone who wants to make music, whether you want to be an artist or not, you just want to make something, I would not back a company that wasn't thinking about this in a very big way. So I'm very proud of that. And I appreciate you all coming today and listening. And hopefully you can do a little UMS song, and I'll hear your songs when I get back to work next week. But and I'll just open up for questions if you have any. If not, I hope you have a great festival. And thanks for coming. Right now we don't. It all has to have a little bit of Boomy in it. So like I said, like cheat code, you can play with Boomy in a way so that you can add a lot to it, as long as you own the rights to what you're adding to it. Because we have blockers in place. There's a copyright audio, audible magic that we use to make sure that it's pre-screened, and then our team checks. If there's like a bad check, we like pull it out. And then if you want to put samples or things that you own the rights to, you can do that knowing that if we get a block from it, we'll let you know and say, hey, there's something in your song that we can't distribute, sorry. But we have, let me show you Plague of Grackles real fast. So his stuff doesn't sound like Boomy at all, but he's using a lot of Boomy, and it's kind of wild. So he'll use like a tone and spread it out, and then he'll go into his thing and use his own samples and things he makes to layer on through that custom vocal. So you can just like, if you can minimally create a bass that you like, where you can add your own music to it, it's, you know, it's super fun to play with. But right now we don't have independent distribution for original music, but it's something, you know, it's interesting to explore and see how we can do that in the future. But right now it's just not something we can do, only because of the structure of everything. And it's more important for us to make sure that you keep your original stuff that you are making, and instead of like playing with Boomy, knowing that you want to contribute and distribute it through us. And we just think, I personally think that it's a better relationship with the artist right now, because with that, there's just copyright's complicated, right? Ownership is really complicated, and Boomy at this point, if we're contributing to your piece and we can help you get it out there and keep it maintained for you, like that just it's the best way for you to make the most out of it and for us to make it easy. And so I hope someday we can support more things in a bigger way. Maybe there is a little thing I do get to leak a little bit, actually, I just remembered. While I talk about Boomy Legacy, we are very much on the precipice of announcing one of our newest things. Hold on, I'm going to turn this off for anticipation. So Boomy's been working, as you know, we are different than our competitors. We have, you know, a different style of doing stuff. So we've been kind of innovating in our own path right now. And I've been given permission to, apologies here, to share this info. But all I can say about it is we have partnered with one of the biggest producers in hip hop, and they have licensed some data for us and have helped us do something very cool. And I'm going to show it to you once this computer starts going. Thank you for your patience. This will be exciting. Y'all are officially one of the very first people to know this and see this. We have been quietly working on this for over 2 years, and my CEO gave me the okay to talk about it, just that. And let me just turn this back on. So I'm really excited to announce Loop Magic is coming August 2024. We have developed a prompt to loop generator, so you can prompt and build in the same, different from Boomy, way more advanced, and it's the ability to make your own stems and samples, and then use it in your music. So without leaking any more, because I want to talk about it so bad. It's amazing. I've gotten to test it. It's going to be a workflow tool that I think will keep people in the creative flow in the process, opposed to like going to look for that perfect sample in a library somewhere else, or, you know, heading to other, you know, sample platforms that you can buy stuff on. But the cool thing about this that we can't share yet is it's very innovative, and what it'll mean for the music ecosystem and how we will be helping and not hurting it in ways that people think when new technologies are launched, it can be scary. But the team has worked really hard to think about every angle of this, and I'm really excited. I can't wait to announce who we've partnered with, and there's going to be so much more coming. So if you're interested, if you go to that website, there'll be a spot to put your email in, and we will give you early access to see it and try it once we launch it in 2024. And it's very exciting. I know that I work for them, but like, it's truly, as a musician, like, full stop, really inspiring, and I can't even talk about it. It's so mind blowing, and I wish I could, but you know, I'm not just saying that to pump it up too much. It's really innovative, and as a musician, if I didn't work at Boomy, I would be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I'm really excited that we got to share that, and I hope y'all get a chance to check it out when it launches. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, totally. I would show you, but Ableton's been so weird when I pull it up with everything right now. I have so much data from testing stuff with the new thing. But it's super easy. Like, the waveform, the way that the song is constructed is with like our composition automation engineer really thought about that. And so every time I pull it in, the only thing you have to do is kind of think about the BPM because it won't tell you right away, but it's super, you can find a way to know what it is and just set that up so that the BPM fits it, and then it'll quantize. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's kind of fun because I've done some things where I like put it into Ableton and then didn't realize what the beat was, but Ableton sped it up and then it was even cooler, and I was like, oh wait, I like this better, and then figuring out how to mess with it. And but yeah, it's super easy to play with the waves. So but the only thing that I will say is when you put the file back in, if you manipulate the wave, it won't line up with your layers because you have to put it back with the bass that's already in Boomy. But if you use the SEM to, if you have a pro account and you want to take it out and line it up and use it for, your podcast, yes, yeah. But distributing it, you wouldn't be able to take it back and distribute it just because you have to have the bass stay the bass. Yeah. Yeah, but you can take it down, yeah. And if you have those account permissions, like you can absolutely manipulate it for any sort of like content you need and things like that. So you can play with it outside. You just can't redistribute it anywhere. Yep, you'd have to keep it exact, but it's still, it works really well still, even if you don't manipulate the wave. But the nice part is for any content creation, I think the rule is like you cannot distribute, you can't sell it, but you can share it and put it with the right account. You can put it anywhere and in commercial use and things like that. So, and if you have like a use case you're confused about, just send an email. I get it, and I'll help you. So we work really closely with people who are confused about like what's okay and what's not okay, and we always want to say yes, so it's better for you to ask us and get us to do it in a way that helps you instead of you getting flagged or, something, we see it out in the wild and you get it suspended until we figure it out. Like we'd rather work with you than shut you down, Yep, exactly. Yeah, and that's why we do that, so that, we don't want anyone to get in trouble with that. And some people accidentally don't know, it's really complicated. So our goal is to inform, not block. It's not it's ours, we have to have it. We know how this works. Let us help you kind of get there in a better way than just like, give it to me, I'm going to do it, I know what I'm doing. And those things aren't easy to do, especially if you want to get it in sync and things like that. So yeah. So, but any questions you ever have about, I want to do it in this thing and I don't know if it's safe or I can, we're happy to clear it up or figure out how we can let you do it, Yeah. So like if you wanted to put your guitar on a Boomy track and then distribute it. Mhm. Mhm. And then you wanted to record it and that's a really interesting question that no one's ever you're the first one to ask, like, what if I want to borrow AI's thing and put it into my thing just because I was inspired by the melody? That's like a really intriguing question that I honestly have not thought about. Like you're literally the first person to be like, I want to use this melody I heard. Mhm. Yeah, the metadata is where it's tracked, but I think what I as a Boomy person, I don't know how to answer it, but as a artist, like, legal copyright, I don't know I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say exactly what is okay or not, but as an artist, I think that happens all the time. I think we're constantly inspired by sounds and radio, and so, if you were to take the Boomy sample and like recreate that exactly in a DAW, in an electronic DAW, do it like, you're like, I'm listening, okay, that bass line, I'm listening, okay, I'm gonna add that guitar, and then I'm listening, and like try to duplicate it and then release it. Like, first of all, like kudos for copying an A song, doing all that work just to get it out there. But that would be more of like, okay, that does sound like a Boomy song and that would be weird. But I think what you're thinking is just being inspired by something. I think it would be more of an interpolation, more of you would hear that melody, but I don't think you would be recreating it in the exact way that maybe the AI did. You're gonna put your own little spin, your own little flicks of your guitar on it, but if your intent is to like take Boomy melodies, copy them and go produce them at mass and sell them on, like that probably wouldn't be okay. But I think being inspired by sound and music and taking it and writing something that is inspired by that for your own creative gain, just to like write it on your guitar because you want to hear it on your acoustic instrument, like that's cool. I think we're always being inspired by, radio, I've written songs. This is one of the arguments I make is like, how many people do you know when you go and promote yourself at a fest or at an event or in your press kit, how many of you have bands I sound like in your bio? Like, why aren't we being copyright sued for that? Why aren't they chasing us down for comparing ourselves to, if it's that serious, if even being close to likeness of an artist, we shouldn't be, we should be like, we're a wholly original band. We don't sound like Fleetwood Mac. We don't, whatever. But we use that as a tool to promote ourselves, and we use it as a tool. So like, while I don't think that using data that isn't approved and agreed upon by the rights holders as like, I want my data there, I think there's also a case to be made that like with Boomy, like we're not even trying to copy anything. That's why it sounds so interesting. But as humans, we're already kind of copy machines, but we put our own experience, our own soul. Like I feel like creativity is a very inherent, powerful soul-based thing that you pull out of yourself, and we get inspired by things, but it's never an exact copy. And I think when those arguments come up in the mainstream and things like that, it's always tricky. And if somebody has a right to it, they legally have the right to it, they should own that right, and they should have all permissions to it. And that's 100% what I personally believe. But if you're inspired by the dynamics of a certain band, if you're inspired by a certain instrument of a band, like you're not going to be stopped by the band for saying in your band bio that I sound like this band. They're not going to go, you can't say that. We don't like it. I'm sorry. Like you can't say that about us at all. And so that's kind of how I think about it, is like, be inspired by things, don't steal from people, and find ways to find art in all sorts of places and do it in a way that helps you create but isn't taking away from somebody else. Maybe that's the answer. How's that? It's a great question. Totally. Yeah, and I think that's what's kind of cool about, one thing I did share is like, if you say you want to do more outside of Boomy, like you said, you want to take the wave out, you want to quantize it and play with it and kind of do something different with it. If you are releasing the original song out and then you put that remix onto YouTube, as long as the song originally went out and you want to upload that new wave and MP3 that you made for your video, I'm 90% sure that you can still, like, that still counts as like you've played with it and it's still being counted as a Boomy song if you distribute it. And so I'll have to double check on that. So if you start messing with it and you want to do something on YouTube or anything, just email me at help or Cassie at Boomy, and I'll. Yeah, let me know, because there's a lot of ways that we can figure that stuff out and talk about different ways, because we want to explore that. Like, we don't want to block people. So it's right now we're just kind of like, we're not sure what's going to be good for, the industry or us or whatever. So getting feedback from people to make sure we're thinking about it in the right way. And I think too, this guy is going to be the buddy that you're going to probably, producers are going to be more drawn to this. For me, I see Boomy Legacy as being this really cool educational tool and a really fun kind of gamified music production platform that I love watching little kids learn really nuanced production things, ranging and thinking about, oh, that's what a wave file is, and stuff that I didn't learn until I was like 25, and they're like learning about a WAV file at 7. And, Jordan, our CTO, was with me yesterday, and he did a talk, and his 3-year-old son has Boomy albums out that he makes all by himself, and then him and him make the cover art together, and then they release it. And so it's just like Boomy, the first version of Boomy to me was the magic version of AI that was introducing in my opinion, the right way to use this tool, to use this tech. Give us a reason to play with art more. And that's what I want AI to do. I want us to have just another tool brush, another, whatever. And as these things emerge, Boomy, we're going to still work with our original platform. These two things are going to exist in two different ways. But now we have this kind of like space for the pros and the space for the people who are like, I'm scared, I've never done this, I don't know what to do, I've never made music. And then we hope that people it's a ecosystem of you start playing with one and then you get to go try out this one and experience more of the like industry side of things where, you'll be able to do more with what is coming out of here. And I can't talk about it anymore, but it'll, cause I said yesterday, I'm going to Tom Holland it and Spider-Man leak. Just kidding. But this is going to be for the producers. And so when this comes out, you're going to be like, oh, that's what she was talking about. Okay. And Boomy, I play with Boomy as it is now and experience what the first version of AI without using, unlicensed data and see that vibe, because this is going to be so much different from what we're doing now, but it's because we have the data and that we've worked with someone who really wants us to do it. So, and the cool thing is it's not just hip hop, and just because the person we worked with is a very prolific producer in that genre, it's really beautiful what it's making outside of just what you would think a prompt generator based off of those kind of data sets would sound like. So it's really intriguing. I'm like blown away. This is my first tech job, and I've been I've worked in the music industry for 20 years. I've worked for major labels. I've toured. I've done almost every job in the industry, except for publishing, which now I do. So I work in Boomy, publishing, helping people get their stuff out, and I help with all that other stuff. But AI and Boomy and this is like a culmination of everything I've ever seen in my 20 years of doing this, and is going to really put art back into the hands of the people in a way that's fast and fun and super creative and inspired. Testing it, I already have like 10 song starts that I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna make a whole album this summer. And so yeah, it's really exciting, and this will be where you'll go. You'll love this. Yeah, but if you're playing with Boomy and you're like, old Boomy, and you're like, I need help, I wanna do stuff, just let me know and we can figure it out. And Discord too. Our Discord server is a really fun place to hang out. We do challenges. It's really just kind of a chill place. It's definitely not your normal producer server vibe. I think we all know what those can be like sometimes, like hustle, hustle, hustle. Here's my beat. We're kind of more of just a community sharing what we like, or the weird stuff we're generating, the stuff that we're excited about. We do these challenge cycles for 3 months where every week I do a 1-week challenge. You only have 1 week to make this song with this theme. And we started with more like music technical things, and then we moved into just like, okay, this is the sci-fi or epic Renaissance Odyssey. Like, write a song about this and you'll get extra points if you make a story about it. And, we have people who are like 50 years old who do it. We have people who are 12 years old who do it. We've got like Vonna. She does the challenges every week, who was here yesterday. She's she does a lot of stuff with us in Boomy. And, pro musicians are joining us in our little goofy little challenges and stuff like that. So I really want to make that community space about just art and creativity, and not just like promo the heck out of yourself, and we really don't like it in there. We're like, no, show us what you're doing. But, don't use it as your spam channel for every release you put out. Like, we want to teach people how to curate and how to give people what they want to see and not, spam. Like, permission marketing is a great thing, and we need to, everybody wants to consume, but you can't force it. And so we teach people how to promote, and we teach people how to think about it, and it's a fun little spot. So if you're a Discord person, come hang out and say hi. I'm in there. I'm CJ. It's just easier to be CJ. And, but if you get in and say hi, and, we do artist meetups in there, and we do all sorts of some fun stuff. So, any other questions?
Maybe you can't talk about this, but something, looking at the section creator on the Boomy website and whatever this might be in the future. Any plans or thoughts about like having like a DAW integration, like a DSP version of this, like a la like a splice that is online?
Yes. That's a very intriguing point you made, and I think that's intriguing. And yeah. And at this point, Boomy wasn't going to be a DAW. Because we thought of it as restrictive. We weren't going to partner with one that would kind of exist outside, where we give you like a deal to go to Ableton or whatever like that, because it was just the whole goal and the strategy was to get music into the hands of people who might not be able to operate those things. But with this, it's a little bit of a different crowd that we're going to work with, but not guaranteeing that any of that's going to happen. But it's because we're leaning towards producers. I think you'll see more producer-centric things in that, and in a way that is way more advanced and a little not out of scope. You can't use it if you're new, but than what we're doing right now. So it's still really accessible, and I think actually a lot of people are going to learn to produce through something like this. So.